What's up, everybody? Renfail here, back again with another new player's guide to Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader, and today we're diving into a topic that I last addressed in beta, which is which class is best for new players. And the vote still stands the same, ironically, but they have deepened the mechanics of all of the different archetypes and classes in the live version, the full release version. So I want to dive back in because there are some caveats to the best class to play for new players. There's actually two classes I think that stand out amongst the rest, and then the others are kind of grades of how difficult do you want the gameplay to be, how much strategy do you want to involve, or do you just want things super simple and super easy. So we're going to get going this morning and dive right in. If this is your first time tuning into one of my videos, I typically don't cover combat stuff in these beginner's guides because the combat is reserved for the class guides and the live streams. So if you want to see any of these classes in action, in combat, make sure to check out the other guides and live streams down in the playlist below. Otherwise, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you never miss an update, and let's dive right in. Now, there are four classes right out of the gate: the warrior, officer, operative, and soldier. And if I had to pick two that I think are the best for new players, and out of those one gets the best vote, it's going to be the warrior and the soldier. And the reason for this is quite simple. The warrior is the most survivable, and therefore, in my mind, if you want to play something that is going to be able to run into the thick of it, you don't have to do a lot of thinking. You just run, hack, 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 run, hack, 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 run, hack, hack, hack. It's that simple. Then there's the soldier, who is literally cover, pew, 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 cover, pew, 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 cover, pew, pew, pew. These are the two simplest classes boiled down to their base, abilities, right? I don't recommend the officer or the operative, and out of the two of those, I would say the officer is my last pick for new players because it requires the most amount of strategy and forethought, and the operative is kind of in the same boat because it's more about debuffing. So if I could explain this in detail between these two, the officer is controlling the other party's members in your party, so you get to say, hey, I don't actually do anything on my turn, but I can make the warrior do something extra, or I can give another turn to my soldier, or I can give another turn to my operative. And so it's more about figuring out what to do with the other people in your party as opposed to what you're going to be doing as an officer. Think of it as the general shouting orders at the troops on the battlefield. You're not actually moving so much as you are directing everybody else to move around the battlefield. Then the operative is sort of like your master debuffer, where you are either moving around or you're staying in one place and you're specifically putting exploits on the mobs to reduce their willpower, their toughness, their hit points, their armor class, and everything else, which makes it, again, more of a strategic build. So I actually don't recommend the officer or the operative to new players. Now, let's talk a little bit more about the warrior and the soldier. The difference between these two mostly comes down to this ability here on the battlefield. So the warriors get access to these key abilities. Charge, which is pretty straightforward. You're literally just charging into combat within a certain amount of distance and you do an attack on that mob. You get Endure, which allows you to soak up damage. And then Daring Breach, which restores action points and movement points and allows you to zigzag around the battlefield, just waylaying mobs, and you can add fluff to that as you go along. So we can take a look at this really quick, go dive deeper in. Charge, of course, being the straight line and launching a melee attack. Endure being the toughness bonus. But then you get Daring Breach, which allows you to restore all action points and movement points. And if you go around the wheel here, eventually you'll be able to add other fluff abilities to your Daring Breach. Something that I've taken with Abelard, who's the fighter in my group, is I went ahead and upgraded it so that at the end of the combat he gains 4 movement points for each kill, and they can then use those movement points after attacking and using abilities. And then I also added this secondary to it as well, where Daring Breach grants 10 movement points until the end of the turn, and he does not provoke attacks of opportunity during this turn. So you get to update it along the way as you're leveling up 1 to 16. And so this allows him to get more movement points and a little more action out of Daring Breach, which turns the warrior into a killing machine in longer battles. I would say battles where there's anything more than 4 or 5 characters on the field, and that's going to be pretty much every battle you fight. Daring Breach is going to allow your warrior to become this just unstoppable force that just goes from one target to another. Whereas traditionally you would be saying, I'm going to move here, stop, attack, and I'm done. You would then trigger Daring Breach, move, attack, move, attack, move, attack, move, attack until you're out of momentum. It's quite useful. Now, the soldier gets something very similar to that when they get enough momentum built up, and that is the firearm mastery. So if we take a look at the went back instead of clicking on this, look at the soldier. They are also going to get this ability called firearm mastery, which allows them to make additional attacks based upon the speed of their weapon. So it's kind of like the way the warrior gets it, but essentially when you've built up enough momentum in combat, you are now going to be able to do extra attacks per turn. So you're going to be able to sit there and say, I've already done my main attack, then I've done shot on the run, so I've gotten 2 attacks. I've got enough momentum now. I'm going to click firearm mastery, and now I'm going to be able to shoot additional targets based upon the speed of my weapon. Now this is the caveat here. When you trigger this, the additional extra attacks you get are equal to the weapon's rate of fire. So if you want to get the most out of this, you're going to want to have a weapon with a fast firing rate. A sniper rifle is not that great because you might only get 2 shots extra, but if you're having like pistols or something that are really fast, you might get 4 or 5 extra shots. So that's something to think about. And the nice thing about this, and the thing to pay attention to strategically, is until the end of the new turn, your first attack against each new enemy automatically scores a critical hit. So this is very useful to use when there are lots of guys on the field, because you can do a significant amount of damage to multiple targets as long as you can get a first hit on them, because it turns it into a critical hit, and then you immediately reload your current weapon. So that is a big deciding factor in certain battles, because you're going to be able to do things and spray it across the field. You'll also notice that if we look here, until the end of turn, you can add bonuses to it, right? If you level up a little more, similar to Daring Breach. So when level 1 to 16, you get 2 times you can add to firearm mastery. I've added a couple things, like until the end of the turn, they gain 4 movement points, and attacks do not spend. And then one of my marksmen has, until the end of attack, all their attacks are 20% harder to dodge, and they gain 10% armor penetration. But how you choose to add to these abilities as you level up is kind of up to you. So at the end of the day, when you're looking at the base archetypes, I would say that the 2 that are the easiest to play for new players is going to be the warrior and the soldier. And if I had to vote, it would be the same vote that I gave Baldur's Gate 3, which was the easiest class to play for new players out of the gate is the warrior, because you don't have to think about anything. With the soldier, you still have to think. You're going, which cover is best? Where am I going to get the best vantage point to be able to provide overreach for my parties? Overwatch and overreach. Where can I be most advantageously placed to survey the battlefield? Quick commercial break, everyone, to celebrate and give thanks to all of these amazing people who keep me on the air full time. Really appreciate the support. All you got to do is join as a member. You get access to private videos. You can also do super thanks on any upload, or super chats and stickers on any live stream or premiere you see. And beyond that, don't forget we're multi-streaming over on Twitch now, so you can support over there as well. Thanks so much to everybody. Let's get back to the video at hand. My primary character in my first playthrough is a soldier who's using a sniper rifle, so I very much want to be far back in the back, up high if possible, so that I can have a clean line of fire to everything on the battlefield. I find that that's the way that I like to play, but it's not necessarily the easiest to play, because sometimes you're having to move your character in weird positions to get the best point of view. The warrior is the simplest. You're literally just point me to the target, slash, point me to the next target, slash, point me to the next target, slash, and then using your defensive abilities along the way, and you'll withstand pretty much everything that gets thrown at you. Then once you get through the warrior, once you get to the next chance to choose a sub-archetype at level 16, and this is kind of beyond the beginner's guide here, but go Vanguard. The Vanguard is incredibly tough, and you immediately get Unyielding Beacon. So each attack against you grants you a stack of Unyielding Beacon, and each stack increases your resolve by 1 up to a maximum of plus 15, and all of your allies in a 2-cell radius gain a 5th of that bonus, and any temporary wounds applied to the Vanguard stack, but only remain stacked for the entire. So there's additional hit point buffs. And you get all of these cool things. You can also get this Unyielding Guard, which means that until your next turn, you attack each enemy that attacks your allies in a 3-cell radius around you. And additionally, until your next turn, you always retaliate when you attack. So it's a great just additional, like, I'm going to just defend my whole party from this position. And then you can go through the Vanguard. It just makes your tank even tankier and able to withstand just about everything the game throws at you, which I think in my mind is something that is always going to be key when I'm coming up with these guides and talking about what is the best class for new players. It's always going to be based on survivability and ease of play. So in this game, that's definitely the choice for me, is to go with the warrior and then go down the Vanguard route, because that's going to give you a really tough character with a ton of hit points, a ton of armor class. You can wear heavy armor, you can use all sorts of weapons, and you're in the thick of it, and you don't have to worry so much about getting hit. Whereas if you're an operative, it's very much important that you don't get hit, and it's also very important when you're playing a soldier, because you can't use your ranged weapons if you have melee characters up in close proximity to you, so you have to always be at range, always at distance, so you're constantly looking for cover if mobs are advancing on you, which makes it less easy to play. But those are my two choices, with the ultimate coming out to being the warrior. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you're playing this game, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Don't forget that if you're new, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Daily streams happen at 5 p.m. Central Time, multi-streaming on YouTube and Twitch. Game guides, news, movie reviews, and beyond here on the channel throughout the day. And don't forget the Discord. Until next time, everybody, stay safe, happy gaming.